Now, welcome to the topic on accounting information systems. Now, the Accounting Principles unit focuses on developing your understanding of financial accounting by learning how to manually record transactions using journal entries, ledger accounts, and the trial balance. While manually analyzing and processing transactions is essential for students to develop the skills required to prepare, analyze, and interpret financial statements, most businesses would in practice actually use accounting software to manage their accounting and bookkeeping practices. Not only has technology changed how accounting is practiced, technology has also changed the nature of business, leading to a change in what is expected from accountants and what is expected from accounting information. To learn more about the important role of technology in accounting, I will speak to Shailan Patel from MYOB. MYOB is an Australian multinational corporation that provides business management solutions, such as accounting, tax, payroll, and other services, to small and medium businesses. Shailan is an education manager at MYOB with an interest in how technology is shaping business, disruption, and adaptability. Shailan, thank you for taking the time for this interview. It is a pleasure to speak to you today about accounting and technology.
Now, before we start talking about the role of technology in accounting, would you mind briefly introducing yourself?
No, excellent. Thanks, Rolf. Thanks for having me. So my name is Shailan Patel and I manage the education space for MYOB. I've been with them for 5 years now. Predominantly looking after the New Zealand space, but over this year I've started helping out with our relationships with universities and education institutions on that side of the ditch. So what that basically means in terms of my role is how can we work with educators like yourself, universities, and other education institutions and help their students through education into the workplace. And there's 3 main cohorts that MYOB, being an accounting software company, would look to connect with. Accountants, so your students hopefully will progress into the industry and one day maybe even become MYOB partners. You've got those interested in tech as a software company. How can we engage students within the ICT world and help them become tech professionals? And then lastly, entrepreneurs, on both sides, Australia and New Zealand, the dream of owning your own business, and how do we foster some of those entrepreneurial skills, and they ultimately may become our customers. So I've been, like I said, been doing this for 5 years, sort of stumbled into it. The last time I spoke to a student before joining MYOB was when I was a student, but a great opportunity for me to take some of my previous experience in sales and advertising and marketing into this role. And how do we engage with this particular cohort and educators like yourself?
Well, that's great, Shailan. And now in this unit, Accounting Principles, we mostly focus on manual accounting. So we do journal entries, we post to the ledger, we prepare trial balances in order to sort of prepare financial statements like the balance sheet and the income statement. And now for students that are actually quite new to the world of accounting, could you briefly explain how the accounting software offered by you guys actually helps businesses with such tasks?
Yeah, so MYOB has been around for coming up to 30 years. So we were around before the internet, before cloud accounting, and have had to adapt through the last 30 years to still remain a relevant player within this space. Our vision, our purpose is to help businesses in Australia and New Zealand start, survive, and succeed. So how can we help them, especially now, given the COVID-19 and the economic downturn, survive? What we've also seen in a lot of the businesses start and ultimately succeed. What we have is a range of products that will help businesses look after their tax, payroll, accounts, cash flow, money in, money out, effectively looking after all the back office stuff. And as an organization, we have solutions for small, medium enterprises. Majority of businesses on this side of the world are small, medium enterprises, but we also play in that sort of mid to large market as well. So we have ERP, enterprise resource planning software, that will help businesses that need software that is will be able to handle a lot more complexity and provide the functionality that they need. We also have a range of payroll software. So if you're a small business that may have 1 or 2 employees, it'll be different to ones that have hundreds or thousands. But whatever size, we would probably have a solution for. And no small medium enterprise can outgrow MYOB, given that we have that software in that bigger space as well. And lastly, we also have a range of software for accountants. So they may refer our software to businesses, but also to run their practice. We will have compliance and tax products so that they can run their practice efficiently, as well as support the many businesses that they will be looking after.
Shailan, thanks for that. It seems like you've got a very diverse range of products available for various sizes of organizations. Now, one of your passions is the interplay between accounting and technology, and you mentioned cloud computing before. Now, in your view, how has the development of technology changed, maybe even disrupted the accounting industry?
Well, there's no doubt it's disrupted us as a business, the accounting industry, the accountants that we partner with, and it's been a rapid development of technology, automation, and it's changing basically how we all work. And what it's allowing accountants in particular to do is to focus on advising and supporting their businesses, then really just focusing on the traditional transactional and compliance processes. And along with computer power, you've got device connectivity, the Internet of Things, data, artificial intelligence, machine learning. All of these things are impacting the accounting industry, and hopefully really improving the way we work. And it's important because what it's doing is removing and automating things that can be automated. And so allowing and freeing up accountants' time to actually spend advising businesses, helping them to grow, helping them to achieve whatever their business goals are. And if you take 2020 and COVID-19 is a perfect example of where accountants can actually come to the fore and utilize technology, because a lot of businesses will be looking towards accountants and asking them, right, how do we survive? How do we implement some of the government initiatives that at state or federal level that the Australian government will be implementing? And because they're so used to focusing on their own business, and that's where an accountant can step in and not just help at end of year financial or tax time, but also advise those clients through such a difficult time. Utilizing the technology that's out there like ours to take away some of that transactional stuff, take away some of that compliance stuff, and really add value to their own business as well as their customers.
And Shailan, would you mind just zooming in on some of these technological developments like the cloud computing? So how has that and how does it continue to sort of influence accounting?
So if we think about computer power, and let's take Apple as a perfect example of an organization that, if we look back at 2000, the back of 2000s, 2008, 2009, they weren't one of the top 5 brands in the world. But now they very much are. So taking a step back, you had companies like GE, IBM, Nokia that were the top 5 brands in the 2000s. Now in 2020, they're replaced by Amazon, Google, Apple, Microsoft still there. Surprisingly, according to the research that I'm sharing here, Coca-Cola are still in that top 5, but I'm surprised that they're still there, but I won't be surprised when another tech company sort of takes them over. And back in the 2000s, you're going to be talking about landline connection, for example. Now it's all mobile, and I know in New Zealand you've got more mobile phone subscribers than actual people. I'm not too sure what it is like in Australia, but I'm pretty sure that you're going to have some high numbers, if not 1-to-1, then there'll be more than that. And so you've seen these tech organizations really come through. And in 2010, iPhone 4 was released, which is 100 times faster than the Mac in 1984. And then you've got 2016, they released the AirPods. So the actual hardware is getting smaller, but the software is more powerful because the AirPods compute more power than the original iPhone. And who knows where they're going to lead to. Last year, I was surprised to hear that they released the Apple Card. And so even looking at different sectors, the financial services space, because you've got an organization is a top brand, they've got a lot of customers, they've got a lot of data, and what do they do with that? Then you've got, with the data side of things, anything that can be connected to the internet will be connected to the internet. So you've got wearable technology, smart homes, smart fridges will tell you when you've run out of milk and eggs, etc., all producing vast amounts of data. And it's estimated by 2025, there'll be 75 billion devices in the world connected to the internet. And this is not even including your sort of like laptop or mobile phone. And so how do organizations use that data, that information to help them? Alec Ross, the former innovation advisor to Hillary Clinton, said that data is the raw material of the information age, as iron was for industrial land for agriculture. And so what we've got here is, this is the raw material, this is the resource that we need to utilize. And he goes on to say those who own or control access to that data in this age will have economic and political power. But from a business's point of view, how does a business harness that data? And then how does an accountant help them? And again, our software will allow accountants and businesses to look at their business, look at their finances, have reports to then say, okay, well, here's where we can potentially save. Here's where we can actually spend a little bit more. But it's not all about the technology nor the design. And I think that's very important, that a lot of these companies do invest huge amounts in their people, in their offices, even though they may not be used as much at the moment. And so I suppose getting that balance right between technology and utilizing it where we can, but not forgetting the human element and the people involved. And I'll share with you last bit of research from an Australian econometrics company, Alpha Beta, that looked at, could a robot do your job? Basically assessed hundreds, if not thousands, of different roles. And one of the reasons why we shared this particular piece of research is because they looked at not only the job title, the job function, but hundreds, if not even thousands of actual tasks that each role did, to work out what percentage can be automated. Now, according to this piece of research, an accountant, only 29% of what an accountant does can be automated within the next sort of 5, 10, 15 years. So really highlighting that a big chunk of the work an accountant does is human skills. And so we know that anytime anyone mentions automation, especially in the media, accountants are on the chopping block. So there will be research out there that conflicts with this one. Whatever research you choose to believe, 100% the role is changing. But we're a little bit more optimistic at MYOB and feel there's huge opportunity for the accounting industry. And our vision for it is actually called the connected practice. And this is the coming together of 3 critical functions within accounting: transactional processing, compliance, and business advisory. And what it does is seeks to leverage the time saved from automation of compliance and transactional processing to enable accountants to focus on advising clients, which I've touched on previously. And so at the heart of our vision for the industry is the accountant. We partner with thousands across Australia and New Zealand. Without them, a big chunk of our business is gone. And so we're not here to replace them, very much to work with them. And even where we've looked to introduce artificial intelligence into our software is very much to help the accountant to provide even more actionable insights and recommendations to the businesses that they serve, especially given this, difficult time.
Oh, that's great. And so you don't think that accounting students should be fearful but of all these technological developments, do you?
No, not for, we, as I said, I think there's a lot of opportunity touched on already, given what's happening. This is where, look, the role is changing. Accountants of the 90s or the 2000s, if you're just thinking that that's the way it's going to be, then I think you're in for a bit of a rude awakening. But the Charles Darwin quote that I always like to share about, it's not the most intelligent or the strongest of species that survive, but the most adaptable. And that's where that role has adapted, that role has changed. And how can accountants now, like I said, be a lot more, add more value to a business by leveraging their human skills, leveraging the technology, and to help them either survive or succeed, basically. And so whatever career path students take, they've got to think about, are they going to fear that change or excited about the potential to upskill? Are they going to fear the automation that is happening? And I'm personally all for it if it takes away some of that mundane tasks, or being excited about the potential to reduce those tasks, and essentially embrace technology or dismiss it. But that one about the change of role and about the potential to upskill is key, and whatever career path your students take, really need to think about.
Hey, that's great. And I think talking about being able to adapt to change, I guess MYOB has also not been immune to all of these changes, particularly when you mention the increasing importance of data, but also potentially how people actually use the software, on what device they're using it. Are they doing it on a mobile? Are they actually using a tablet? Are they using a computer? So could you briefly reflect upon how MYOB has sort of evolved in this changing technology environment?
Yeah, and like I said, been around for a long time and before the internet, so it's crazy to think that that how did the business even operate? Obviously, I wasn't with them at that time, but people used to be able to buy our product in a box, on a CD, in a retail store, and would go home and download it, and off they go. And they may get an update every year or every 6 months, and things weren't moving as fast as they are now. And so that is completely gone. And if I think about then the internet and cloud computing and other competitors coming in the marketplace, we had to change as an organization. Our purpose has helped us with that. So I talked about having a clear purpose of helping businesses start, survive, and succeed. So it doesn't matter what your position is within the company, all roads lead to that. And how do we achieve that is having a clear set of values to help support us in achieving our purpose. And so there was a lot of work behind the scenes, not so much in terms of the technology side, but just the culture and the people. And so our values in terms of our customers, making sure that they're at the heart of what we do, trying to innovate. And that doesn't necessarily even mean just new, but finding new ways of doing what we were doing. Can we make it simple? Can we simplify how easy it is to work with us, to partner with us? And we now have 2,000 staff. So as an organization, how do we all collaborate? And in particular, if we think about this year, there's 2,000 staff. So effectively, we had 2,000 offices during the lockdown periods. And so again, managing that and making the right decisions and calls. Obviously love what you do and having a passion for helping businesses. And then what is the impact? What are the results? How can we really help businesses to be successful, which in turn will help us be successful? So values came into play, a clear vision. And then when we're hiring people, we want people to add to those values, not just fit into them. And so all this work has helped through and helped us to transform and continue to transform. Because if I take a step back to the 2000s, when the internet came about and cloud computing, and then companies like Xero, our staff believed that we should be online. 95% of staff, yes, we need cloud products. But 75% of our staff felt their role did not need to change. Now, by the fact that they would actually be dealing with products that they'd never dealt with before, we hadn't had to deal with the internet before, their role was going to change whether they liked it or not. And this goes back to that question about, are they fearing the change? Or are they going to be excited about it, embrace it, and look to upskill? And so we need to then, some people left, new people came in, but even a lot of people just probably had to change roles, work out what skills do they have for the company moving forward, not where they'd been. And so huge shift. Engagement within the business was probably around 35-40%. It's now double that. And so slowly the company has really been able to adapt, disrupt itself while being disrupted, and even from the outside use what's happening in the market. Xero came onto the market, and at that time, print was still around, quite a big thing, and they took out adverts in the papers, RIP MYOB, right? Wow. So they went for the jugular, challenger brand. We have to react to that. We were no longer going to be handed being the market leader in this space. And so I've seen pictures of our old offices where those were bought and stuck up on the wall to remind everyone, this is who we're now facing. This is the market that we're in. And also in terms of the mindset, we are the incumbent in the accounting software space. But in the online accounting software space, we're actually the challenger because that horse bolted and we weren't the one to hit the market first. And so how do we now challenge back? And thankfully, as an organization, we've been able to do that. We're not a Kodak or a Blockbuster that has gone away. And in fact, the New Zealand and Australian market is the most competitive in terms of in the accounting software space for SMEs, given you've got two organizations like MYOB and Xero, and then also Reckon as well. So, it's actually a very competitive space. And what that means is that each company has to keep performing better to make sure that they not just even gain market share, but keep what they have.
Oh, wow. Well, that's very interesting insights into the whole industry, the competitiveness between the different software providers. Now, as a student, how can you prepare to sort of enter this market space, whether it be actually working at a firm like MOB or MYOB, or as an accountant at other firms? How can they best prepare on this sort of contemporary workforce where there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of rapid changes?
Yeah, look, I think it's important to be adaptable and learn from just what's happening now. And if I think about, would they ever thought that they would, maybe be studying and learning from home full time? Probably not. And so, embrace the change. They're probably better suited and prepared for it than previous generations, just given how quickly things are changing. But even go that one step further and embrace the technology and look for new ways to use it and learn it. Just practice. Very important to add that practical skill to the theory that you're learning as well. I think soft skills, if the research that I shared about accountants and 71% of what they do can't be automated, shows that you're going to need communication skills. What we're saying is accountants need to spend more time with their customers, need to have more conversations. You've got to be a good communicator. Collaboration, obviously, critical thinking. There's huge amount of soft skills out there that you wouldn't think an accountant needs if you're thinking about the old back office, just tax time, where's the receipts in the Excel spreadsheet, and here you go. And so having that's going to be very important. And resilience, again, whether you've handled this year well or not, you would have naturally built up some resilience, learned from it, and then how do you'll be better prepared for the next crisis. And if I think about my own career, I was made redundant in 2008 during the global financial crisis, and it felt like the end of the world. But now I'm better prepared for what's happening at the moment, and aware that there isn't really job security anymore. And if the worst case happened, I would be in a better position to handle it. And so students, what they've gone through this year, I mean, what they go through in general anyway, how can they use that? What did they learn from it? Like I said, whether it was a good experience or a bad one, and then take that into the workplace, that resilience, that mindset, because that's what businesses are looking for. And a lot of the technical stuff they can teach after, but it's very difficult to teach those soft skills. You know, a lot of people call them the harder skills. And so therefore, if you can bring that to the table, the rest, I'm sure will follow, and companies will invest into you. But young people with tech in their DNA, you know, I think there's a lot of opportunity there, and I'm still very positive about sort of the graduate market. And again, a lot of businesses have learned from the global financial crisis, where they may have stopped some of their recruiting, and it took them a long time to recover recruiting graduates. And so this time around, they're not as quick to chop graduate programs as they may have done in the past.
That is very sound advice, Shailan. Thanks for that. Now, you mentioned collaboration, online collaboration and communication, and how important that is in the business. We just did a very big case study, a group assignment, where students were required to use MS Teams in order to do some journal entries, but also give some lending advice to a company. Now, just reflecting on how you work together with your colleagues at MYOB, how do you communicate? What platform did you use? And what do you find most challenging compared to the face-to-face interaction?
Yeah, so look, it's been a learning curve for everyone with regards to the online space. We weren't new to it, but just having to use it all the time. We use MS Teams internally, and predominantly externally, I use Zoom. I think a lot of the work that you would do face-to-face, you could continue to do. But I suppose it's just sort of, how do you build a real connection and a relationship, especially if you haven't met the person before? And so how can you try to bring that in, and therefore maybe not have the whole meeting work, you know, spend 5-10 minutes at the beginning breaking the ice, getting to know the person that you would do in person, and even maybe organize those meetings. And so where you may have a chat, you know, while you're making a coffee with someone in the office, maybe you just have to the only thing you've really got to do is you've actually just got to book that in. And so we were doing weekly check-ins or weekly check-outs with staff, and, you know, it's bring your own coffee, bring your own beer. But very important that they were still continuing, because you don't want to lose that connection and the relationship that you have with your colleagues and your peers. And so I would say with students, it's the same sort of thing, how they may just catch up before a lecture. Now just book in a 10-15 minute Zoom with a group of you where there is no agenda, and just to have a chat. And it's not the same, obviously, but I think it will just help. And in this world where sort of isolation has become a bit of the norm, but how do we still stay connected? And not just through text or email, but actually seeing people face to face. And so I think that's just sort of got to be mindful of it, and have those check-ins. And if no one else has organized it, then you be the one to organize it. And you know, you may open it out to 10-15 people, and you may get just 2 or 3 join, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be a long session. Like I said, you're not going to be when you catch up with your peers just before a lecture, it's going to be 5-10 minutes. Just have a 5-10 minute quick call. Doesn't cost anything. You're in front of your computer anyway, and then off you go into the next one. And so I think they can get that sort of, keep that connection going, especially now. Or if you know someone is struggling, reach out to them. If you're handling it a little bit better, because obviously if you're in that position, then you'd hope someone else would reach out to you and ask for help. Ask for help. The university has a lot of resources. I'm sure you'll have career advisors, your lecturers, just people within there. And if you need anything, if you are struggling, then reach out. And I'm pretty sure everything you need will be in the walls of the university, whether that's on campus or in the virtual setting.
Yeah, that's a very good point to make. Like I said, what we do, we in the course, we actually offer consultation hours as well, so students can actually talk to us on MS Teams. Doesn't have to be about the content, only can be anything that they want to talk about. And the same thing, because we use MS Teams, it's actually possible for students to start the tutorial half an hour or even an hour early if they want to. And people can just join in to have a chat. So that's great advice. And I think for us, MS Teams actually allows us to do that rather than with Zoom, where I have to start the meeting as an educator. The nice thing with MS Teams is that the meeting is always there. So that's
actually, you can do that. I think it's just in your settings when you set up the meeting, you can do it that people can join beforehand. So there's great. a little tip for you. And then obviously you've got the breakout rooms as well, and so people can go off into different sessions. So yeah, utilize it as much as you can. It's not going to replace the face-to-face. We know that, but it's also not that far behind it. And like I said, I think mainly it's just, if you need someone to chat to and you want to see a face, then use it. And like you said, even your own network as well. It doesn't have to be someone or sort of uni related or work related. Reach out to your network. I think one thing we've seen is a lot of sort of compassion and kindness from people around, and especially for the younger generation, because I mentioned the global financial crisis a couple of times. Students still went to school, university, they just carried on because it didn't change the way they studied or the the way they were learning. Whereas what's happened this year, doesn't matter what stage of your life you're at, primary, secondary, tertiary, even those that are retired are all being impacted.
There's no escaping.
That's it. You're not, at some point, you were not allowed out of your house, and it's a traumatic experience, and when you're not alone. And so I think a very important message, and again, the sort of theme of the conversation, just use technology where you can.
Yeah, that's great. That's great advice. And indeed, like, being connected is important, particularly because a large portion of our students is actually overseas. So for them to sort of make sure you get the interaction, that you talk to your peers, talk to other students, engage with staff is crucial in order to get a really good learning experience. And I like to point as well about being active. So look for the resources, because we have a lot of resources available within the university, also within the unit. And I'm sure MYOB will probably also have some resources that are available to students where they can actually experience the technology, read more about the software, read more about potential opportunities perhaps in the future. So any comments on that? What resources would you recommend that students look at?
Yeah, look, we have MYOB Academy, which is a free e-learning resource center. A range of our products. There's a number of different modules for each product that the students can sign up for and learn themselves. I think our blog and our social media, or any company's blog or social media, is very important now, more than the website. If a student goes to our website, we're going to try to sell you accounting software, which you probably don't need at the moment. But if you go to our social media, our blogs, you're going to be learning about the sort of content that we're producing for businesses, for accountants, and some real insight and good research. We have a number of different reports, how technology has affected businesses, on the mid-market, on COVID-19, but even in New Zealand, for example, we've done some great stuff with the upcoming election, in Australia with regards to the federal budget. And so there'll be very topical reports and articles there, videos, etc., that will give you a better idea of the organization. And whatever company you're interested in, I would say go to their social media before their website. And so who do you follow basically online? Again, utilizing the tech and the social media that's out there. But I'll share a lot of the links, and then you can pass them on in terms of the resources that we have. LinkedIn, that's how we obviously first connected. Utilize that. I talk about your network. If you want to be an accountant, connect with accountants. They're going to be able to teach you what they're doing, the steps they've taken, and to learn a little bit more about it. Connect with MYOB and people from MYOB and where we fit in. And so you've got 700 million people across the world on a platform like that. There's a lot of good information there. And yeah, like you said, be positive, be proactive, take advantage of what is out there, because there's still a lot of things you can control, even in a very uncertain times. And so I think it's not all doom and gloom. There is still a lot of opportunity and exciting time. That as bad as COVID is, it's going to, I think, will lead to some new ways of working, more flexibility across the board, which is some good things that needed to happen.
Hey, thank you so much for sharing these insights. And I do agree, it's very dark times at the moment, but it will get better. It might take a while. And in the meantime, we just have to make the most out of it. It has definitely changed how we go about accounting education, that's for sure. I wasn't teaching last semester because I was actually stuck in Sweden. But before then, we hardly had any sort of online teaching within this particular unit. And now everything is online. We do an online group assignment where people are using MS Teams. All of the tutorials are run in MS Teams. We have pre-recorded lectures. Thanks to you, we now also have a guest lecture. We didn't have that before with international guest speakers. Yes. So it's just definitely hard times, but yeah, there are opportunities. And I think your advice to make the most out of it, be prepared, make sure that you can adapt to changing environment is crucial. So thank you very much for being here with us.
No worries. I appreciate the opportunity. And any of the students reach out to me, happy to carry on the conversation directly. And yeah, look, all the best with your studies. Stay safe. I think take advantage of the university and the opportunities that they provide, and build your network and as I said, all the best.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Excellent.